Hi guys, this is Rayla Cook. This is the second video assessment project. So this one is more Olympic weightlifting, actual lifts with it, more power, more polymetrics, things of that nature. If you haven't seen the first one, basically this project is about how I can be creative with exercise variations and what I learned in my strength and conditioning class. So there's going to be 36 exercises total, 6 modalities, 2 exercises per modality, 3 variations per exercise, so that's 36. My program is more Olympic weightlifting oriented, so a lot of lifts. This is strength and power parameters mainly. Weight is not included in here. Only parameters I've set were sets and reps. Rest generally 2 to 5 minutes for power strength, but it's up to you. And yeah, so pretty much just gonna go over the actual workout that I recorded myself doing and what you need to have to do the workouts. Enjoy. Hi guys, so this is exercise 4. All right, this is the next part for the video 2 assessment. So modality, lower body, Polymetrics. So what do you need? Space, surface with enough give and rigidness, because you're gonna have a lot of ground reaction forces, a lot of impact, and box or sturdy object at least 12 inches tall. So first thing, jumps in place. So jumps in place, essentially just counter movement, flexion of hip, knee, ankle, with counter movement, the arm extension, followed by arm flexion, as you're going up with the hip, knee, ankle extension. That's pretty much it. Jumps in place, and then you land, and you cushion yourself in a nice squat position, quarter squat position. First thing we have, butt kick jump. So like I said, hip, knee, ankle flexion with arm extension followed by arm flexion. Hip, knee, ankle extension. This is just jumping up, and then knee flexion in the air. So you're kicking your butt, kind of like the warm-up butt kicks, just doing it in the air. Next you have double leg tuck jump, 2x5. Hip, knee, ankle flexion with arm extension followed by arm flexion. Hip, knee, ankle extension. So same thing, just now hip flexion in the air. You bring both knees up in between your hands, pretty much, or your arms, and kind of try and grab them. Last one, split squat jump, 2x10, so 5 per leg. Just now you start in a split squat position. So hip, knee, ankle flexion with arm extension followed by arm flexion. Hip, knee, ankle extension. So same thing, just now one hip flexion, others in extension. Both legs are obviously, both knees, I should say, are flexed. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so first one, jumps in place. So we're just gonna demonstrate right here. First of all, just positioning, feet width apart, knee flexion, hip flexion, torso comes down a little bit, but chest is upright. Just showing you how to land properly. You want your knees out, nice squat position, absorbing the forces. Just showing you that there's different phases for the Polymetrics, 3 of them: eccentric, amortization, concentric. So that's eccentric, and then amortization is that transition between eccentric and concentric. You want to be as fast as possible. Cardio, you don't want to do that. You don't want to have fast jumps. You want to have nice, slow, controlled jumps. So as I mean slow, I mean pauses between reps. They're not repetitive movements. They're stretch, shortening cycle, rest. Stretch, shortening cycle, rest, right? You want to reap the benefits of power. So let's show jumps in place. So there's just a counter movement right here. Shoulder extension with shoulder flexion as you move down into the squat. And that's a jump in place. Dip and drive, just like Olympic weightlifting pretty much. And just really key to rest between reps. Not necessarily because you're tired, but just to make sure you're actually doing Polymetrics properly. Now, let's go to the actual one, butt kick jump. Again, it's just that same thing, jump in place, just now you have knee flexion in the air. You make it harder by trying to double kick. So 2 butt kicks in the air. Or you can take away a counter movement. To make it easier, you can just do a little hop. You don't have to do a full explosive jump. Or simply a jump in place by itself is good enough as well. Make sure the surface again has enough give to it. I'm on turf, it's perfect. Okay, second variation, double leg tuck jump. So that same initial movement, the hip, knee, ankle flexion with arm extension followed by arm flexion, hip, knee extension. Just now you have the hip flexion in the air, right? So just making it harder, more intense, more coordination, increase intensity. So dip drive, tuck the knees. Dip dive, tuck the knees. Again, making sure to restart and go to the first position and not rushing through these movements. Make it harder. You can go single leg tuck jump. Or you can even go in sand. That's for all the jumps. Sand would take away the forces. Absorb your force, make it a lot harder to generate force. All right, third variation, split squat jump. So the same thing, just now the positioning is different. Okay, so wider base of support, obviously just one leg extension, one flexion. Or it should be hip to be more specific. But now you're just gonna same thing, so that dip drive, dip catch. Catch, I mean just absorbing the forces, landing in that kind of quarter squat, cushioning. So the flexion, rapid extension, and then coming down and absorbing the forces. It's okay if you wobble a little bit. That happened to me a couple times. You get used to it, more practice. But it is single leg, so it's a lot more intense. Make sure nothing is around you. Sometimes you can have people spot you on Polymetrics. It's usually advised to, especially if you're having box jumps or just any type of explosive movements like this where you can fall or be unstable. It's nice to have a partner with you. Having a chest up, looking forward. Don't want your torso to bend forward or back, just going straight up and down and landing nice like a spring cushion. Absorbing the forces accurately. Make it easier, you don't have to jump as high. Make it harder, you can do a split squat, alternating variation, where you move in midair and switch leg stances. So for this, just doing 5 per leg, so 2 sets of 10. Okay, so next exercise for low body plyometrics. So kind of what I said earlier, for equipment, you need a box. This is where the box comes in, or a sturdy object that wouldn't move and collapse when you get on top of it. So depth jumps. Okay, essentially what a depth jump is you're on top of a box or something, and then you do hip flexion with knee extended, followed by hip knee ankle flexion. So essentially you're stepping out. You step out, you don't actually drop down, you just simply step out like you're not walking on air, and then you drop. You fall off, and then you either land, like I said, the depth drop, or you right immediately as you land, you explode and extend and jump. That triple extension. Because remember, Polymetrics, you want it as fast as you can with the amortization between concentric and eccentric. Right when you touch the ground, you explode up. But first, depth drop. So it's that same hip flexion, knee extension, followed by hip knee ankle flexion. That's the cushion part. So this one is you step out off the box, and you just make sure to land appropriately. Okay, because when it comes to plyometrics, you have to be careful. The higher the box, the more forces you're going to take. If you weigh 220 pounds, you're overweight, that's more forces. Or if you can't squat 1.5 times your body, these are just kind of recommendations for before starting plyometrics, but you have to be careful. This is intense stuff. Anyways, so depth drop, that's just focusing on the landing portion of just a depth jump. Next, depth jump to second box. So 2x5, 1 set per stepping leg. Hip flexion with knee extended, followed by hip knee ankle flexion / extension to hip knee ankle flexion. So that stepping off, falling, jump upon landing on the ground and then landing on the box. Lastly, most intense single leg death jump, 2x5, 1 set per leg. Hip flexion with knee extended followed by hip, knee, ankle flexion extension to hip, knee, ankle flexion. So same thing, just all in one single leg. All right, let's move into it. Okay, so death jumps. So first, like I said, we're gonna work on the actual landing part, but what it is, you take a step out and then you land and jump. As soon as you touch the ground, you wanna jump. Remember, it's that as soon as that eccentric, you wanna go right into concentric. Small amortization phase, boom, right into it, right? This is a depth jump, depth jump. It's recommended to start with 12 inches at first, and then you can increase the height of the box. Just showing you a side view. And to be quite honest, my counter movement sometimes is off. It happens. That was great, but sometimes my arms or my shoulders will go into flexion and then extension, which is weird. I'll just point it out. But it happens sometimes. Yeah, just recommending 12 inches to start off with. Just general guidelines. So, first variation, depth drop. So just that dropping, just anytime you're jumping, just how you land. You don't want your knees to cave in. You want your butt back, absorbing it, sitting down like a squat. So flexing the knees and hips and ankles, keeping the torso upright and neutral. I might have a slight flexion of the upper torso, but essentially that's all it is, just stepping off. Make sure not to actually step down. You're just extending the leg out and then dropping and absorbing the forces. Working on the shock absorbers or eccentric muscles and landing properly. Essential step before intensifying depth jumps even more. And you can alternate between the stepping leg just to work on single leg balance for both legs. Up to you. Okay, let's work on the second variation. Depth jump to second box. So the same thing, that hip flexion, knee extended, stepping out, followed by hip, knee, ankle flexion. But now, right after flexion, you go straight into extension with hip, knee, ankle, that triple extension to hip, knee, ankle flexion again. That just landing in a squat, quarter squat, cushioning position on the second box. Okay, so again, this is rapid. As soon as you touch the ground, you want to jump up. You step out, jump, boom. Switch legs, or you can do one set. I wrote 1 set per stepping leg. You can alternate it if you want. But stepping out, and as soon as you make contact, you explode up. It's essentially what it is. Make it harder, you can make the boxes further away from each other or higher. To make it easier, you can have boxes lower really if you need, or you can have them closer together. Or you can just jump straight up like a regular depth jump. You don't have to go forward. Another way to make it harder is jumping laterally or changing direction off that initial jump off of the depth or off the box. That's one way to make it harder. Okay, third one, single leg depth jump. This one is the most intense of all. Single leg, that's a lot more pressure, a lot more intensity. This one, counter movement is a little confusing with the arms. It was for me at least. But anyways, that same thing. So the hip flexion with knee extended followed by hip, knee, ankle flexion / rapid extension to hip, knee, ankle flexion. But this is all on one single leg. You can do one set per leg, 2 to 5. Extend the leg, step out, jump up. And the arm movement should be on the same leg. That's going to land and step up. Okay, I kind of switch because I get confused a little bit, but arm counter movement, both should be activated, just that little finishing elbow flexion. It should be of the leg that's actually landing and jumping, because the other knee is up. Make this harder. Again, you can increase the height of the box. You can jump to the side with one leg. You can jump forward with one leg. Change surfaces. If you jump in sand, it's going to take away a lot of your force. Make it easier, you can lower the box. Or essentially, if it's too much intensity, just stepping down single-leggedly and then exploding off, that'd be fun enough too, if need be. Okay, moving on to exercise 5, upper body polymetrics. So same stretch shortening cycle just now, upper body. So what do you need? Space, service with good give, sturdiness, medicine ball, and either partner, wall, or trampoline. So let's move on to the first one, upper body polymetrics, push-ups. So we got single leg push-ups, lateral push-ups, behind the back push-ups. Okay, or it can be a clap if you want. But single leg push-ups just meaning that when elbow flexion extension on one leg, so in the prone plank, so one leg is up, the other one is down. Other leg can be on top of the other leg. Lateral push-ups, there's 2 by 6, 3 per side. So elbow flexion with extension towards the right or left. You're essentially pushing off in this diagonal motion to land in a right or left position compared to your original start. And then behind the back push-up is just the most intense one. You can either do a single clap, double clap. There's so many variations for push-ups, but I chose behind the back. So 2 to 5, elbow flexion with extension, with horizontal abduction, scapular retraction, shoulder extension. So basically just that movement of going behind your back and clapping. Essentially what it is. All right, let's get into it. So kind of like with any polymetrics, you need the eccentric, amortization, concentric, so the fast, repetitive motion, or fast, explosive motion. So that's just a push up, the hop. So down, up, down, up. You're going to be as fast as you can with the eccentric, amortization, concentric phase. So first one, single leg push-up. So I have it above me. You can have, this makes it harder, make it easier. You can have the leg actually just resting on the other leg, or you can have the leg on the floor more out, so wider base support. Anyways, so Neutral spine, everything else is aligned. Shoulders, hands underneath the shoulders. That's essentially what it is, just that push-up, the kind of push-up hop, the explosion, lifting off, taking air, getting some air time. And again, this is not cardio, so you should have kind of a rest, just a pause between each rep. Now this is a lot of shoulder, just fair warning, it's a lot of shoulder, so you can do this on a box or on a mat, especially if your wrists start feeling it. Alright, variation to the lateral push-up, 2x6, 3 per side. This is the elbow flexion with extension towards the right or left. So kind of go down vertically, and then when you come up, you can go into more diagonal movement. Another way to make this easier, all the push-ups in general, on the knees. This always makes it easier, especially if you have too much pressure on your wrists or shoulders. But yeah, just showing, I have that little counter movement, go up and down, or down and up, explode, and just land in a different position, either to the left or right of me. Make it harder, you can try and further the gap between your initial position and the new position, so jump as far as you can to the right or as far as you can to the left. You can throw a clap in there if you want to make it harder. You can mess with your feet, base support. One leg can be up. You can also do these push-ups on a box. So what I mean on a box is your feet are still on the ground, but then your hands are on top of a box. So you're kind of like in an incline. You're not fully in a prone position, as in on the floor. Or you can either be standing and do it on the wall too, with a slight incline in your body. This will definitely make it easier. Last, and definitely the hardest, behind the back push-ups, 2x5. So elbow flexion with extension, horizontal abduction, scapula retraction, shoulder extension. Basically just making that circle behind your back to clap. Doesn't have to be full contact, just a little bit, fingers even. That's totally fine, that counts as well. This can be on the knees as well. This is the most intense on the shoulders. You're going to have a lot more force to get your whole body up and in the air to give you more air time and give you more time to actually get your hands behind your back. Fair warning, people face plant from this all the time. So just be aware that you can totally fall and your hands won't catch you. Anyways, that same movement, so the down and up, rapid down and up, explosive, and then hands behind the back. So obviously more coordination. I need more muscle output, force output to get myself higher. And it's definitely a lot on the shoulders. I mean, I am feeling it. It's crazy. Again, make it easier, go on the knees. You can stand up and just push off the wall. To make it harder, I really doubt someone wants to make it harder, but if you really want to, you can do a double clap. So forward and then back clap. So you push yourself up, that same polymetric movement, the eccentric, amortization, concentric. And when you're on the way up, you do an initial first clap in front of you, and then you do a behind the back clap and then land. So, obviously you can make it harder, but I really doubt someone's going to try and make this harder unless they're just super elite. Yeah, take your time, and also again with just me hyping myself up, get motivated, almost there. Pretty much the hardest part, or one of the harder exercises in the whole program. And then we'll have more assisted exercises, so not as intense. Last one for body polymetrics, we have medicine ball throws. Okay, so it's essentially that elbow flexion and scapular, it's mainly elbow extension with scapular protraction. I just included the catching portion because it is polymetrics and you have to have eccentric, concentric, but essentially it's just throwing it. So it's the elbow flexion, scapular retraction followed by elbow extension with scapular protraction. Okay, it's essentially what it is. And 3 variations: chest throws, what I just said, the chest flexion, scapular retraction, followed by elbow extension, scapular retraction. Side to side overhead throws, so different side per set. Same thing, just now you're at the side of your head, followed by elbow extension, scapular retraction, and just in a more diagonal motion. And then overhead throws, 2x5. Same thing, just now overhead, followed by elbow flexion, scapular retraction, overhead followed by elbow extension, scapular retraction. It does get harder as you move on, especially if you're seated. Yeah, and this one, for what you need, this was the more trampoline wall partner exercise. But anyways, let's get into it. So this is the med ball throws. This one, since I don't have a partner, I have to throw the ball, and that doesn't count as the rep. So I have to throw it initially, and then when the ball comes back to me, that's when I can actually do that fast, explosive motion that I'm doing right now, right? Because I can't just simply throw it and then catch it. That's not the polymetric. Polymetric, you need the eccentric, that catching, and then amortization, concentric. So I throw it first, and then as soon as it comes back to me, I want to get rid of it as fast as I can. That's that polymetric. Not the first throw, but that second throw following. Catching that rebound. Essentially, that's why you would need a partner. You would catch their throw, and then you can do that motion. But if you don't have a trampoline or wall, and do the polymetric explosive movement on the second throw on the way back. But again, you just saw the trampoline. I know this trampoline in particular is pretty broken and worn out. So a lot of the times trampolines, you have to get a feel for it and see where the ball's going to bounce, see where you need to throw it to get an optimal trajectory back to you so you can actually catch it. But yeah, that was the chest throws forward. So now I'm going to do side to side overhead throws. That same stretch shortening cycle mechanics, just now overhead, different position. This one especially, I had to get my positioning right for the trampoline. You know, you gotta be careful, especially if you throw it hard. You know, med ball's gonna come back flying at you. Not to mention, trying to make sure people are not around you, so if you miss a catch, it doesn't hit somebody, God forbid. And also with the trampoline, to mess with the trajectory, the higher angle the trampoline, the straighter or more downward the trajectory is going to be of the ball bouncing back, and the more down, as in like the trampoline's facing up down, I mean like the back part is down, the higher up the ball is going to bounce back. So just, you know, keep that in mind. If you want to make these harder, obviously increase the weight, throw it harder, increase the speed. You can add some coordination, so right when you throw it, get a clap in there, or jump, or, you know, some type of movement beforehand, and then try and perform the polymetric. Just adding more coordination. Make it easier, you can step closer, have a lighter weight, but you can see right here, I just really need to adjust because this trampoline is wonky, let me tell you, very wonky. And it's okay if you drop it, just, you know, try and catch it and stop it from getting past you. But first movement and then the actual polymetric right there. So boom, and then boom, there it is. You want to get rid of it as fast as you can. And if the trajectory is not right, obviously it's going to be hard. This is why a partner is preferred, or the best option. But if not, hey, you got to deal with the cards you're dealt, and you got to do what you got to do. Last one, overhead throws. So this one I actually moved the trampoline more down, and when I mean down, the actual bouncy side is facing all the way towards the ceiling. So the trajectory of the ball is just going to go straight up, if not a little bit towards me. But this one is, again, the elbow flexion, scapular retraction, overhead, followed by elbow extension with scapular protraction. Just moving it closer. All these, again, if you want to make it harder, you can throw the ball harder so the ball comes back faster and you have to react faster. The ball can be heavier. This could be in a seated position if you're in a partner trampoline, not as much. Hopefully, maybe. It just depends on the trampoline you have and whatnot. But again, let's look at the form. So that first throw is just to start things off, but that second throw is the actual polymetric, that actual repetitive, eccentric, amortization, concentric phase. And again, especially with this trajectory going straight up, make sure to catch it or just not throw it as hard as you can, because then it will bounce up super fast, you'll miss it, and it's probably going to hit you in the face, and that's not fun. And using your whole body, it's not just your arms, it's a whole body movement. It's mainly the arms moving and the scapulas, but you're using your whole body, inertia, and